Welcome back. The time is 22 minutes past 9, and you're still tuned in to News and Views of myself, Salailo Makwidiri, on Salam Media. Here's a headline I don't think you were expecting with your morning coffee this morning. There are ARVs in your tap water. Yes. Welcome to South Africa, where even your glass of H2O might come with a pharmaceutical bonus of some sort. There's been a groundbreaking new study from the Northwest University, which has revealed that there are traces of antiretroviral drugs in our water. Yes. ARVs, the ones used in HIV treatment, well, they are being found in alarming quantities in our rivers, our dams, and potentially in our drinking water. And it's not little elements that of the ARVs that are being traced. In some cases, levels downstream of treatment plants were found to be well above global norms, and there's also disrupted ecosystems and potential long-term health effects on humans, as this is not just a drop in the ocean story, but it's a public health wake-up call. And joining me now to unpack the science and the seriousness behind this is water scientist Ayesha Laher. Ayesha, thank you so much for joining us. There's a lot of panic. People are concerned. Why are there ARVs in our water? How do they end up there?
Good morning, Salailo. Thank you for the opportunity to speak on the subject. So yes, there are ARVs in our water, in our natural water systems. But there's also other stuff in it. So let's just start about saying why it's in there. So any medication that human beings take, there is a possibility that some of it is discharged into your urine, and then it finds its way into the wastewater treatment works. Most conventional wastewater treatment works throughout the world, okay, are not able to remove these pharmaceuticals from the wastewater because they are all biological processes and not chemical or membrane processes. So you will not only find ARVs in your water coming out of a wastewater plant, but anything else that is in human urine and feces will also be in there.
I don't think that's something a lot of our listeners would want to hear, but I think it's clear, and I think it's something that we all should know. But what's concerning for me, Aisha, as I was reading this report, is the fact that it mentions that concentrations of some of these elements and ARVs, to be specific, are above global norms. Can you give us just a sense of just how alarming these levels are and what it actually means for the average person, average South African drinking municipal water? Will they be affected in any way?
Okay, so I'm going to put this in two parts. So when we spoke about the ARVs, there's not only ARVs, like I said, but
Yeah.
90% of the consumed medication that you take will end up in the wastewater and ultimately in rivers and water treatment plants and in your water. So we're talking about personal care products, we're talking about microplastics, we're talking about all the analgesics, like your pain medication, your Brufens, etc., which is then secreted into the water. So these are all these and other chemicals, pharmaceuticals. In fact, even that creatine that the bodybuilders take, that is also secreted into urine because it's extra. So anything that your bodies are going to be using in a particular amount, the balance will then be secreted and going to the wastewater plants. So we're not only speaking about ARVs, and I'd like to broaden that discussion a little bit. So when it gets into the wastewater plant and then eventually into the rivers and into the water treatment plants, which are not designed to remove it by conventional treatment, you can have an effect. But now we must think about, let's not be alarmists now. So certain of the medications, the hormones, whatever that is in the water, including ARVs, may pass through you and may not have an effect, but there may be an effect. So what we need now is, from this study and similar studies throughout the world, you need the medical specialists to now go and look at the root of that contaminant. So in other words, if there is that amount of ARVs in the water and you as a person are going to ingest that ARVs over a particular period of time, what is the implications and the health effects? The issue is all of these contaminants that we have, contaminants of emerging concern, as World Health Organization calls it, that we didn't expect to find in our water and our wastewater. We need to determine what is the maximum allowable limit that we are allowed to ingest before it becomes harmful. So there is probably a limit that World Health Organization has for the ARVs, and our limit is higher. Therefore, it is a concern to us.
Mm,
But I would also like to just add on something. So all countries in the world have got water quality limits that we must adhere to. Right. Most developing countries in the world, like South Africa, all over, we've got the list of determinants that we monitor the safety of our water with. That is outlined in our national standard, the SANS 241, which is a drinking water quality standard for South Africa. It lists more than 44 things that should not be in the water, that gives a limit for what must be there: iron, manganese, cyanide, arsenic, bacteria, viruses, all of that. And if the water exceeds that, then you should not drink it, because it is either an acute health determinant, that means you'll die immediately, or chronic health, that means it will accumulate in your body and it will cause danger. Now, all of these contaminants of emerging concerns, we don't have them already in our national standards. And in most countries, in developing countries, they don't have these contaminants as part of their water quality limits, because we don't have the technology, first of all, to evaluate them.
mm,
Whenever the normal lab testing that is happening, we're not at that advanced levels, and we have not yet even looked at incorporating them into our standard. So there is a great call that we need to include many of these contaminants of emerging concern into our drinking water quality standards, so that we also look at that, and that will tell you when the water is safe. Okay, it's got ARVs in and we've exceeded the limit. So twofold, we need to get our legislation updated to include all these contaminants of emerging concern, and we take guidance from the World Health Organization that sets these limits and tells us what to do. So then we can make a better informed decision about whether our water is safe or not, and what is the effects of this.
most definitely. South Africans already, I think before this, there was already trust issues when it comes to our water quality. I know there's been, outbreaks of E. coli at some of our beaches, and just dodgy tap water in some municipalities in the country. What do you make of our current wastewater treatment systems? And do you think they stand a chance against something as complex as you mentioned as pharmaceuticals? Is there a need for just an overhaul of the current infrastructure that we have in place, and maybe relooking the policy of the quality of our water, and just the policy on the impact that some of these things that find themselves in our water have on the environment also?
So, Salalo, let's start with the first part. Are our wastewater treatment works operating that they should? In other words, breaking down waste material. So,
Mm-hmm.
according to the 2022 and 2023, the Green Drop reports, more than 90%, let's say more than 80% of our wastewater treatment works in South Africa are not functioning. In other words, they do not take the sewage and treat it adequately for disposal into the environment, so it doesn't have any impact on downstream communities and the human environment. This is looking at basic wastewater determinants. In other words,
Mm-hmm.
have you taken the sewage and broken it down so that it doesn't destroy the aquatic ecosystem downstream? So first
Mm-hmm.
of all, they're not working. We all know that. Secondly, the issue in South Africa is we have limited resources. So most of our rivers, wherever your river is that is abstracting water for water treatment, is abstracting water from somewhere upstream. There is a wastewater treatment plant. So we've got bad quality effluent that's not treated, discharge into the rivers. Our rivers are polluted. We don't have sufficient catchment management initiatives to protect our rivers. You know what the state of the rivers are
Mm-hmm.
in Gauteng, in those areas, the Vaal, etc. So the water coming into the water treatment plants is also of a deteriorating quality, and the water treatment plants are suffering to produce good quality water, which they cannot comply with. So that is the first part. The second part that we must look at is that most wastewater treatment plants in South Africa and worldwide, I'm saying, so unfortunately, I have to put this worldwide, because I know all our wastewater plants don't work, but worldwide, even they all use a biological process. So if we want to take out ARVs or pharmaceuticals and these contaminants of emerging concern, like your microplastics, your personal care products, all of that, we need to upgrade our wastewater treatment works to put in membranes and to use advanced oxidation processes such as ozone to break down these pharmaceuticals. So we need to fix up the dysfunctional plants. We need to upgrade them to ensure that we put in advanced processes. These are more expensive, they require more energy, and they need to be maintained as well. So there is a solution to take out ARVs and all of these other pharmaceuticals. But that is, you see that in the emerging countries, they've put in there's all these new technologies coming out, membrane bioreactors in wastewater treatment plant, advanced oxidation processes. It's all being implemented worldwide, especially in the countries that have identified these contaminants of emerging concern and see that and put that in their water quality limits. So they don't want this in, and they do something about it. So yeah, we need to upgrade our wastewater treatment works to ensure that when we do upgrade them, they're not only there for the conventional treatment, but they will be able to deal with the contaminants of emerging concern that are now coming into our water and wastewater. So we need to upgrade them definitely, and then we need to change the legislation so that we actually measure for that.
Very important. When you started this conversation, you said let's not be alarmist, but I'm alarmed, and I'm sure so are our listeners. What's your message now to people listening, to concerned citizens? Should people be buying water filters? Should people be
No.
boiling their water? Are we safe for now, or we all just taking ARVs in our water? That's a reality.
Okay, so first of all, there is a website that you can go and check your municipal water quality, but that's just the normal water quality, not
Mm,
looking at ARVs. And that there's a website for the Department of Water and Sanitation. If you Google DWS Iris IRIS, you will come to a dashboard. You put in your municipality, your suburb, whatever. It will give you the water quality in your municipality with regards to bacteria, microbiological health, and chemical health, but not talking about ARVs. So for me, that's always the first point. Do you drink tap water or not? Yes, first go and look at that. Now we all know that there are ARVs in the water and there are other contaminants as well. So based on the level of risk that you are willing to take for yourself to protect yourself against possible carcinogenic effects or these pollutants that will be accumulating in your body. But I'm just going to say this: we do not know what the long-term effect is of these ARVs or the pharmaceuticals and how they bioaccumulate either in our body or they're used up or they pass undigested or whatever. I'm not the doctor, so I cannot
mhm,
comment, and there isn't sufficient literature to tell us what that long-term effect is on us. We can look at World Health Organization and take guidelines from them when they come out with such guidelines to say you cannot have so much personal care products in your water, etc. But if you are concerned about that, I would say that you can install a reverse osmosis unit in your tap where you drink water, because reverse osmosis is one of the only methods that actually takes out these micropollutants from your water. Or an activated carbon filter would be an option. But remember, when you have an activated carbon filter and you put that in, that's fine. It will take out these ARVs and other pharmaceuticals. But that water cannot be allowed to stand for a long time because it also takes out chlorine, which is a disinfectant.
mhm.
So I would advise people to check the water quality in the area and then decide whether they want to put in a reverse osmosis membrane just at the point of use or activated carbon. I also want to again tell you that when you put reverse osmosis membranes into your units, you are taking out all the natural salts in the water. So you're literally drinking distilled water. And that could also have a negative effect on your health in the long term because you're not getting sufficient salts. So water quality is quite a complex problem, and you need to evaluate the level of risk that you perceive based on the information that is out there.
All right, Aisha, thank you so much for chatting to us. I'm not sure how I'm feeling right now, but yeah, thank you. Thank you for giving us your time and I think sharing very, very important, points and tips about, the state of our water infrastructure here in South Africa. Hope to catch up with you soon. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Salelo.
That was Aisha Laher. She's a water scientist, and yeah, painting a very, very concerning picture there. ARVs in your water. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you can engage with us. Tell us, what are some of the steps that you're taking to ensure that you drink healthy, clean water to an extent? Are you having water filters in your taps? Are you, I don't know, buying water from other sources? There are people that are doing that now. What are you doing? Because I think this is a concerning state of affairs. All kinds of things in our municipal water. I remember when I was still in high school. There was I think a conversation we had about water quality in South Africa, and there was this study that we read that South Africa has among some of the highest tap water quality in the world, and it was something that I think we prided ourselves in, that we have some of the most drinkable tap water in the world, never mind on the African continent. And I think it just boils down to infrastructure and the failures of our government. It touches and trickles down to every aspect of our lives, and it's getting really, really concerning. ARVs in your water. A friend of mine, and this is a dark joke, he said, "Hey," after I showed him this article and this study, he said, "Hey, no wonder I've been feeling better lately." Dark, I know, but what can you do except laugh when the situation is so bleak? You can engage with us on our various social media platforms. You can give us a call on 0116800355, or you can send us a WhatsApp on 061 766 0355, and you can tell us how you are taking care of the water coming out of your tap. What are some of the steps have you taken to make sure that you I don't know, filter down your water. You make sure that it's clean. Yeah, because all we can do is try at this point. We have a comment here from one of our listeners on WhatsApp, and he says, "I always boil my tap water and let it cool, and then drink afterwards." I think, yeah, this is one tip that you can make. Other people are talking about activated charcoal. You can, make sure that you put that in your water. Other people are talking about chlorinating their water. Other people are boiling their water. But I think, yeah, we all have to do something. It's a sad reality and sad state of affairs when it comes to infrastructure in South Africa, and it will show you the government, the failures of government will show you. It will trickle down to every sphere of your life, from the school you go to, the police station where you report your crime, to the water that you drink. Uh, It'll all trickle down, and this is just a microcosmic of a greater picture of what's happening in South Africa. Going to take a quick break. When you come back, News and Views continues after this.